YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and I updated my mock draft, 2-round mock draft earlier this week, and I already have another one here, and that's because Bryce Young first overall talks are heating up. Sounds like legit news, even though I'm still thinking it's CJ Stroud, but a realistic scenario could be that Bryce Young goes first overall, and then the Texans pass on a quarterback because Bryce Young is gone. So we played around with that scenario in this mock draft. It shakes up the entire draft. Realistic scenario here. And as I'm watching more and more film every day, changing some kind of thoughts on certain picks and fits here and there. So I felt really good about a lot of these mocks, a lot of these fits here. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Our Twitter subscribers get bonus content, and they'll be getting my CJ Stroud first overall scenario, which actually is my prediction here. So they'll be getting that in Twitter form, like a bunch of clips, and they get a bunch of extra content. If you follow us on Twitter, you get live news, rumors, updates, and you have instant analysis on each pick of days 2 and 3. Day 1, we'll be live streaming it right here on YouTube. So join us, like, subscribe to notifications on. We have full NFL coverage right now. Check out the recent videos on the channel. Links pinned in the comments for our Twitter. You can join our Discord down there, and our sponsor links are down there as well. GLD Shop, NFL pendants like the Vikings one I'm wearing right now, Liquid IV, new flavor, code GOAT on both those sites. Walk the Mock, very cool draft simulator. Links pinned in the comments. Let's get on to it here. We're going to go through the full first round, and this is the Bryce Young going first overall scenario, which sounds to be very realistic. Chris Mortensen reported that that's the pick. He said that Bryce Young, it's the pick, first overall, and I'm still thinking it's Stroud, but maybe it could be that scenario, that situation like the 49ers. They traded to get that third overall pick, and they were taking Mac Jones. But they continued to evaluate, and they decided they were going to go with Trey Lance. And, maybe it's a similar situation because I do believe that not only when the Panthers traded for that pick, even recently, up until recently, or in my opinion maybe still is, their thought CJ Stroud being the guy. So, but maybe it could be a similar situation like that. Maybe that can make it make sense here. But let's say the Panthers go Bryce Young, which he's worthy of the pick. He's that talented. But I would take CJ Stroud if it was me. I think better fit, better overall prospect because the accuracy is off the charts, even though Bryce Young is accurate. But more of your prototypical size and CJ Stroud as well, seeing over the line better, holding up, health-wise a little better. And he was getting better and better every step of the way, which was pretty damn clear, so I love that too. But Panthers go Bryce Young, and then in that scenario, it is very possible the Texans pass on a quarterback because maybe they're kind of just sold on Bryce Young and really no one else. If I were them, I would take CJ Stroud, but Will Anderson's not a bad option either. But it's kind of we see it kind of being put out there that the Texans might not go quarterback. They might go. We've seen a Lance Zierlein mock recently, had Tyree Wilson. A lot of people are very disappointed with him with that mock draft, but why it's kind of being said is because if Bryce Young goes first, again, they might pass on a quarterback, so that's where we get a realistic scenario here. But they go Will Anderson, which I think they would go over Tyree Wilson because I think he's just better. More of an impact player, even though Tyree Wilson was very impactful. But in Anderson going against the best competition you can go against, more of an impact star player, more explosive is the big thing there, in my opinion. He's way more explosive off the ball than Tyree Wilson, and I just think he's a better player. But so the Texans go that route. Maybe they would have went Jalen Carter if there's no off the field issues. They do bring in Sheldon Rankin, so pair Anderson there next to him. That could be ideal. What do they do about quarterback then? If they don't take a quarterback here, do they trade up with the 12th pick? Try to grab one of these other guys? That's a possibility. And then speaking of trades, the Cardinals could trade this pick in either the CJ Stroud or the Bryce Young scenario. Either one. But so that'd be a team to watch out for. But I think they could like Christian Gonzalez in either scenario as well, whether they stay put or trade down. Jonathan Gannon will really value the cornerback position. They lost Byron Murphy on top of it. Gonzalez, who is not only very good in zone and man, but he's good in press zone and press man too. He's long, athletic. He's like kind of a lockdown guy at the same time as a playmaker, which is kind of rare. So I love that about him. I think Gannon and the Cardinals would like him, whether it's at 3, moving down a little bit. How far could you move down though? That's, could somebody trade up, give him a haul to come up and get CJ Stroud in this scenario or Anthony Richardson in the other scenario? I think it's very possible here. And then kind of an A+ situation for the Colts. Maybe they would have to trade up a spot. But C.J. Stroud just would be just fantastic for the Colts here. It would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, the best player, in my opinion, in the draft, and I think a really good fit. And just that quarterback, it's not really a big question mark. Like, I like the fit of Anthony Richardson. I like his upside, but it's a question mark. It's a boomer bust guy. And, getting Matt Ryan was a question mark. What kind of Matt Ryan are we going to get as he's declining? Getting Carson Wentz, a struggling Carson Wentz, was a question mark. Even getting Phillip Rivers was kind of a question mark. Kind of in the same way Matt Ryan was, but Rivers ended up being pretty decent. So now you kind of get the sure thing here. So that's why it'd be like an A-plus situation. And we'll go on to the next 4 picks. We're going through the whole first round. Twitter subs, get that C.J. Stroud scenario along with more content, more bigger plans in the future with them. But yeah, starting to feel Jalen Carter, the Seahawks, a bit. They could go Anthony Richardson as he drops a little bit. It'd be a good situation for him to go behind Geno Smith, sit behind Geno Smith. That would make sense. I think a good fit. I'm starting to feel they would go Carter here. They could go Tyree Wilson. They could go with a pass rusher, like I just said. But they take a shot on Carter here. They have 2 first-round picks, so they're willing. Maybe they're willing to do this. Pair him with Draymond Jones. Jones more the 3-4 end, Carter the D tackle. This could help their run support on defense because it was bad. It was really bad last year. I think anybody could have ran on them. And it gives you that interior pressure as well. This would just help the edge rushers like Nwosu, maybe Darrell Taylor, or maybe who they get with the next pick. Pretty possible. But, so I'm starting to feel that a little bit. I'm starting to feel the Lions taking a pass rusher as well. They have a long list of free agents coming up next year. They have Aiden Hutchinson was the only guy that is like firm, that is the long-term guy. They got a good young duo over there, but nothing is kind of like set in stone. Like, there's a way for them to get better. I think they'll like the traits of Tyree Wilson. This honestly could be Myles Murphy if they're going pass rusher. It could be, I'm kind of back and forth with Wilson and Murphy. Murphy lighting up at his pro day. But Wilson getting a lot of buzz right now. Some people think he could even go as high as 2 or 3. 5's realistic. I'm not saying 2 or 3 are realistic. Not going to completely rule it out, but some people seem to think that. But yeah, my only issue with Wilson, besides we didn't get to see him in the pre-draft process, is he doesn't have super explosive get-off, which is very important to me when it comes to pass rushers. But it might be because Texas Tech kind of had him sitting and reading run a lot. He's very good against the run, which the Lions could use that help too. But he's really good at kind of staying outside, staying disciplined. Not giving up the edge, which I notice is kind of an issue for the Lions. Even the one knock on Hutchinson, who's great, going to be even better than great, is probably that, So getting Wilson in there could be a really good fit. So the Raiders take the shot on Anthony Richardson, who could go earlier. Somebody could trade up. But with Bryce Young going first, pushing, and then the Texans passing on a quarterback, C.J. Stroud getting pushed back, that pushes back Richardson and Levis. I think Levis could get pushed back in either scenario, honestly. So the Raiders, who seem to be interested in Richardson, could be smoked, and there was some talk about them going up to the first overall pick. I don't think it was for Richardson. I think it was for Stroud or Young, but they could go at Richardson here at 7. I honestly don't absolutely love the fit of him and McDaniel's offense. If I were them, maybe I'd go a different route. They badly need defense, but this would kind of be my predict the pick in the Bryce Young scenario, we'll call it, him going first. But there could be a trade up for him. Falcons tough. It's I feel like it's not tough to say. I feel like they're going to go corner or edge rusher in any scenario. I feel like that's kind of the route they're going to go. But Witherspoon or Murphy kind of back and forth on that. Well, Witherspoon, both just very recently had a very good pro day, very good workout. Witherspoon lit it up. Some guys timing him low 4.4s. Some people high 4.3s, which is fantastic. Physical. Man coverage corner, and the Falcons are trying to run more man over there, which is great for A.J. Terrell and a guy like Witherspoon and Ryan Nielsen, who's their defense coordinator coming from a man background with the Saints. And they got some Saints guys over there now too. So I thought that made some sense, trying to get an elite cornerback duo, potential elite cornerback duo with Terrell and Witherspoon there. Yeah, we're going to go through the whole first round. Again, Twitter subs to the C.J. Stroud scenario. But the Bears go Paris Johnson Jr., which I was pretty firm on this pick. The Bears need a tackle. They added a guard in free agency. They need one more tackle to get that offensive line set. And Paris Johnson Jr., to me, is the best scheme fit for the Chicago Bears, better than the other ones scheme fit-wise. So I think that would be the route that they go. The Eagles go Myles Murphy, who could go even earlier after the really good pro day. Physical, like bigger, built pass rusher, but that runs low 4.5s. Very impressive, and he has great get off the line. You see the physicality in terms of the pass rush, going against the tackle, and then even stopping the run. He just needs more of a rush plan. Really doesn't have many moves. It's kind of just go straight at the tackle every play. So if a team coaches that up and gets him more moves, gives him more of a plan, then he can be very, very, very special. So I think the Eagles would be interested in something like that there. I almost could flip Murphy and Tyree Wilson. I thought about that as well, but, kept it this way. So Will Levis drops a little bit. Is it because of this Bryce Young scenario, though? I think he could actually do the same thing could happen in the C.J. Stroud scenario just because he's such a risky of a pick at a down year. Yes, was injured, but something like minor was popping up, like shoulder, something with his hand. Something new was kind of popping up. So is he kind of wearing down already? It's not really a great sign. And he's kind of lacking that touch on the ball, being able to drop it in the breadbasket, and it's something that's difficult to coach. You could clean up the footwork and the mechanics a little bit, but could slide a little bit because of that. The Titans seem to be looking for a quarterback, possibly they could take in. Look out for them as maybe a trade-up team, whether it's, or maybe going to 3, whether it's for, in this scenario, C.J. Stroud. That'd be great for the Titans. Going up for C.J. Stroud, I'd feel a little bit better going up for him than Anthony Richardson, So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do if they're going quarterback. But same with the Texans, if they don't go quarterback 2, maybe they have to trade up from 12. You got a battle between teams, the Raiders, Titans, Texans, battle between them. Maybe the Colts are in there for the quarterbacks as guys start to slide a little bit. So it's tough. The Texans, do they move around with this pick if they don't take a quarterback at pick 2 is what I'm getting at maybe. Do they move around with their early second-round pick to get a guy like Hendon Hooker? Do they think he maybe drops to them? They take him there? Maybe. But they go Jackson Smith and Jigba with this route, so they pass on the Ohio State quarterback, take the Ohio State receiver, instant impact slot receiver here. So you get big-time starters. You just need that quarterback. On to the next group of picks here. Jets Darnell Wright, who's been getting a lot of buzz lately, big-time right tackle. You could kind of maybe wonder if he'll fit here because the Jets trying to run outside zone. Darnell Wright coming from like a gap scheme, but he's just it seems to be a lot of favorites. Teams playing favorites out there right now. Maybe a lot of teams are bringing him on the visit because they like him. They want to see if he can kind of adjust to a different zone, kind of quiz him up a little bit, pick his brain a little bit. So. But I think he can adjust. I think he's that good. I think they'll like him there maybe for that right tackle spot. And the Patriots I think would like Darnell Wright a lot as well. But I think Broderick Jones is also a pretty good fit over there, possibly at the left or right tackle position, depending on where they want to play Trent Brown and or Riley Reeve. I mean, not ideal to start Riley Reeve. We'll see. It felt like kind of an insurance policy in case they didn't get a guy here in the draft because they're not guaranteed to get one. They might only like player X and Y. Maybe not so much Z, but a pretty good fit here. Maybe they like Wright a little bit more. Maybe they like Jones a little bit more. Packers go Nolan Smith, the edge rusher from Georgia, who's a freak athlete. We saw at the combine, but he had really good tape too. You might say, look at his stats and say he didn't have enough sacks, but Georgia had him kind of sitting and reading a bit. He'll drop back in coverage a bit. He's going to get a lot of production in the NFL, and he's super athletic and he's a little thin. You would think he's not that great at run defense, but he's actually very good at run defense, so plays bigger than he is. Then Peter Skoronski, who projects as a guard, but did play the tackle position very well. He's just really, really lacking that length. I think the Commanders, they can start him at guard right away or play him at left tackle in the future when they're about done with Charles Leno, which could be now or a year from now maybe. I went with Skoronski there. And the next group of picks, Steelers go Joey Porter Jr. They would like an offensive lineman. I think only some fit for them, looking for a left tackle, specifically outside zone. A lot of those guys off the board right now. They could go DeJuan Jones, who I think scheme fit-wise, yes, makes sense. But I feel like he's a right tackle. And the Steelers looking for a left tackle. Could they potentially move him? It's a possibility there. Some guys I feel all right about moving sides. Some guys like that I really don't. But Joey Porter Jr. goes to Steelers here. Porter Jr. got that length, obviously, but he's got a good mixture of playing man and zone, so I do like that. Steelers, Mike Tomlin, usually a man guy. They lose Cam Sutton, who's a man guy. They bring in Patrick Peterson, who is now more of a zone guy at his age. Could they be good looking to go a little more zone here? Porter plays a little bit of both, So you like that there. Deontay Banks, another corner who I love. I love me some Deontay Banks. Really good in man coverage. Solid in zone, too. Got some upside, but I like him in press man. The Lions were trying to run that press man there, so upgrade at corner. And I love the fit of Hendon Hooker to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Definitely think he can fit, and they have some solid receivers for him like he had at Tennessee. So the Buccaneers get their quarterback of the future. Lucas Van Ness ended up sliding in this scenario, and you can maybe swap him with Nolan Smith or maybe even with Myles Murphy. Possibly I could see that. Van Ness is a guy I can see going in the top 10, or I can see going out here. That's a pretty big range for a first-round player. Why? Because, well, he didn't start at Iowa. Sometimes it's alarming when guys don't start. It doesn't really seem to be alarming here, but he didn't start. He's like either flashy or kind of disappear a little bit, so could drop because of that. A lot of his production was just winning on the inside, which it's going to be a lot more difficult on the inside in the NFL. He's more of an edge guy, obviously. So teams might be a little scared for those reasons. So I could see him dropping, kind of a boomer bust guy. With the Seahawks, this would be a great pick for them. They took Carter with that in this scenario with the first pick, that D tackle. So they still need that edge rusher, and they get a good one here with Lucas Van Ness, the one with a lot of upside and a flashy playability there. So that one made sense as he started to fall a little bit in this scenario. Dolphins forfeit their pick. Chargers taking Jordan Addison. I'm really feeling this pick recently. Finished up watching Jordan Addison very recently. And, moving up my board, but I think he'll go in the first round. I don't think he'll get by the Chargers. I think that'd be a really good fit there. A guy that can play outside and inside, good separators, something they don't really have. And maybe a little bit in Keenan Allen, but maybe a Keenan Allen future replacement too, because he might have just one more year with them. Ravens go Osiris Torrance. Don't really see this mocked a lot. They can go multiple routes here. They can go with a lineman, which could be sneaky, but I think they can do it. Everyone wants to mock him a receiver, and they could. If Addison's there, if Smith and Jigba's there, yes, but he's not going to be. If Addison's there, then probably. I think the bottom line is the Chargers there. And the Ravens, the Vikings would strongly consider if he's there, but maybe more likely to grab a receiver. They could trade this pick back, honestly, and get more picks and then go receiver with the picks they gained, second or third rounds, or with their original third-round pick. They lost Ben Powers, and they could use an offensive lineman in there. Osiris Torrance is, physical, like big physical blocker, kind of fits that man scheme that the Ravens have there. So you don't see that mocked a whole lot. But I think it makes some sense. Brian Branch of the Vikings makes sense. I think really fits Brian Flores' defense. Man coverage guy from the slot. Also can line up at safety if you need him to, but they'll use him in the slot. They'll blitz him a little bit. The man coverage skills from the slot are very, very impressive, and that'll be pretty important, I think, for this new Vikings defense here. In the last 8 picks here, the first 4, DeJuan Jones to the Jags. Yeah, what are the Jags going to do? Are they going to, they wanted Juwan Taylor back. They didn't get him back because the Chiefs paid a lot of money, and the Jags didn't have a lot to spend. But it was true that they wanted him back. So do they need a right tackle, or do they put either Cam Robinson or Walker Little out there? They very well could do that. Both those guys have injury concern now. So that's tough. DeJuan Jones, it would fit at the right tackle spot, so they could go that route. Giants go Kalijah Kancey here, who seems to be a fan favorite because how productive, how explosive he is. He is missing that length, which teams take very, very seriously. So some teams may not take. I'm telling you right now, there's a chunk of teams that will not take him in the first round, but there's some teams that would just because he's just talented. He makes plays. But the Giants, there's some talk about them moving on from Leonard Williams either now or being done with them after this year. This would be the replacement. I think it'd be a really good replacement in there. So they're kind of getting ready for that. I think they'll, like Joe Shane, I think they'll value his production, Kancey's production. And then Bijan Robinson ended up slipping a little bit in the scenario, so the Cowboys grab him at 26. Don't think he gets by this point. Robinson's the toughest guy to predict. I got a feeling that he's going to go to somewhere unexpected. We mock him to the Cowboys because they need a running back. We mock him to the Chargers because they need one in the Eckler situation. We've seen him mock to the Eagles. Even though I'm going to mock him where it makes sense in the scenario, I got a feeling he's going to, it's going to be someone random. I kind of got a feeling there. Brian Bruzzy to the Bills. They actually just brought back Jordan Phillips on a 1-year deal a couple hours ago. Or was that yesterday? Yesterday. Who signed? I'm getting mixed up with some of these smaller signings. That was yesterday that Jordan Phillips signed. But they have a 1-year deal. Okay, so they have a long list of guys on a 1-year deal that'll be free agents this time next year, free agency next year. So they're going to need some guys, and that includes Ed Oliver, who there's some little bit of talk about, but could they trade him? We'll see if that happens, but they're going to need replacement. And they're going to need replacement for multiple guys. They're going to need to get better right now anyways, because the interior is not that good. And Brian Bruzzi gets after the quarterback, and he stops the run, and he can move around to different spots. So that's why I like that fit there. They could like a guy like Osiris Torrance. Some of these linemen, if they drop a little bit, they might have to trade up. I don't know if I see them trading up. They might not. They might hesitate to do that. The next group of picks here, Bengals haven't really valued tight end like this. They end up going with the cheaper route and then making them better. They did bring in Irv Smith. He does have injury concern, but Michael Mayer is just such a good fit, like weapon-wise, but like blocking scheme-wise as well. It's just such a great fit, and this would actually elevate the offense that much more. Like, how are you going to deal with this offense? Like, Jamar Chase, kind of a do-it-all receiver. Then you have T. Higgins, who's kind of a do-it-all, more contested catch guy mainly. Then Tyler Boyd is the slot, quick, separator, pretty good after the catch. And then Mayer, is your inline and slot tight end that can make contested catches. Fits their blocking scheme very well. I mean, it would be scary, and it sounds like he could slip through a little bit. So maybe the Bengals just cannot pass on him. Isaiah Foskey, tough one to mock, too, because you can see him going late first. You can even see him going late second. I'm starting to think that's really not possible, though. I think it's late first or mid-second, the latest. But I think people are sleeping on him right now. I think complete package of a pass rusher. When you're looking at size, length, athleticism, he has the production, but balance, getting after the quarterback and stopping the run. He had really good testing numbers as well. I think the Saints be looking for a pass rusher. I think he fits them very well. It's funny because I kind of been saying that a little. The last mock I was saying that, I'm watching more and more of him. I kind of thought, maybe he could be like a Marcus Davenport as well, because he's kind of a physical, lengthy, specimen, athletic, that kind of feels like a 4-3-N, which fits the Saints, but also could stand up when you need him to, which Davenport did with the Saints. Foskey did at Notre Dame, even though he kind of gives more of the 4-3 vibes. So in the way he moves, kind of some similarities there. And I was talking on Twitter, was it yesterday, and I went through like measurables and testing numbers, and Foskey and Davenport are almost identical. So that was pretty wild, because I was already thinking that, and then I just looked up just to be out of curiosity, and they were matching up pretty well, and the Saints lost Davenport. Doesn't mean that's why they're going to take Foskey, but I think it's a really good fit, exactly the type of player they're looking for, and he's a safer pick than Davenport was. Davenport was like the upside guy. Foskey like already pretty polished. So I do like that fit. I think he's going to go earlier than people think. Eagles go Zay Flowers here, so they could be looking for a better slot receiver. A.J. Brown plays a little bit of both, but mainly on the outside last year. Devontae Smith definitely on the outside, and they just get better in the slot spot here. And they lost that Super Bowl in a shootout. And they lost a bunch of defensive players. They didn't feel like they wanted to spend a bunch of money there. They might realize that just the best of the best offense wins, and that's where the Chiefs won, and the Eagles weren't far behind. So just stack this offense, make it even better for Jalen Hurts and the contract that he's probably about to get. So they grab Zay Flowers, who actually has more snaps on the outside than inside, but a pretty good balance, and he's better on the inside. He projects as an inside guy in the NFL, but you can take A.J. Brown and Flowers and swap them sometimes. That's great. Chiefs take Anton Harrison, tackle from Oklahoma. They'll be looking for a right tackle here. I think he could fit. And they might, maybe he's an early second-round guy. You're basically there with the 31st overall pick. Maybe they move around. Maybe they trade up to get a DeJuan Jones or, Darnell Wright would be fantastic. They have to trade up a lot for him. Or maybe they trade back and take Anton Harrison. Maybe they trade up with that late second-round pick. So they're in some weird spots to, if they're looking for that right tackle. You could argue maybe they'll wait for a right tackle because they valued left so much by paying Jawan Taylor that maybe they won't invest all of that, insane amount, all that money in the first round pick on both tackles. You could argue that as well. But Harrison, I think they'll have some interest in. He won't be there in their late second round pick. They do have to take him here or trade up a bit with that late second round pick. So some good players still available, some really good receivers that I like, which I think we could see a run on them in the second round. Then we have Dalton Kincaid, who's getting some buzz. Could very well go late first. You just worry about him with the blocking. Didn't see him in the pre-draft prospects. Jahmyr Gibbs still available. He's such a dynamic player that he could go in the first, but then teams might worry because he's an every down talent back, but is he every down size? Maybe we just wait because of the value of the position. So some good players still available here, but you see the scenario of if Bryce Young goes first, it kind of changes everything we've been talking about. Everyone's been talking about this offseason, and it kind of changes some pieces. Maybe not so much down here, but a lot of different parts of the mock draft, so I thought it'd be fun to do this. I do have a recent mock going over 2 rounds with more of a CJ Stroud scenario. I did update my CJ Stroud scenario as well, and I have the first round going up for our Twitter subs there, which get bonus content like that. More to come. Bigger plans in the future, very near future, but yeah, we have all kinds of NFL content, NFL draft content here on the Goat Owl. So go to our channel, check out those recent videos. You won't be disappointed. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Make sure you join us live for day 1 of the NFL draft right here. And then on Twitter, day 2 and 3. Any link you're looking for pinned in the comments. That is going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.